Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much for stopping by. Well, today I get to share with you a few Queen & Co projects using the Candyland kit. This is available over at the Queen & Co shop in case you're interested in it. Everything will be listed down below for you. But if you like candy as much as I do, you're going to love this kit. So we're going to take a look at everything that comes in it. Starting off with the matte stack. It's a 6x6 pattern paper pack. And a lot of two-tone pattern papers, a lot of candy themed pattern papers. Super fun. You get 6 different patterns and you get 4 sheets of each, which is fantastic. So that is your paper pad that comes in the kit. Now you also get a 4x6 stamp set, and this is super cute. It has it's a lot of candy themed sentiments, but most of the sentiments are little itty bitties that you can fit on your candy jars or on your candies, and they come with little frames. You also get that triangle. I'll show you what to do with it, and then a few little candies that you can color in. With this kit you get some dies that will create your shaker shapes, and these little stamps here will fit inside your candy jars. I thought that was so neat. So if you don't want to make a shaker card, you could use your stamps, which is fantastic. And then the little sentiment labels fit in each one of those little candy jar elements too. So those are your dies. Now also included in the kit are 4 little colored cottons, I guess you can call them. But these are so cute. You get a yellow, a purple, a pink, and a blue. And you just unfold them, and they're just colored cotton, and they're made to create little cotton candies. And that's what that little triangle on your stamp set is the base of your cotton candy. So it's super cute. Love this. My goodness. So you get 4 of the cottons. Little cotton pillows here. Now also included are your toppings. You get 2 different kind of toppings. You get some confetti toppings and pops. But I wanted to show you, I almost forgot to share with you the shaker shapes. But this kit comes with 12 of your shaker shapes, and these elements fit each one of your candies, including the candy jars. You get 3 of each, including the acetate covers that go on top of your elements here. So 12 shaker shapes already pre-cut for you. All you do is punch out the middle. But now we're back to the toppings. These are the pops. You get 5 different colors. The pops are little round balls in different sizes. So you get purple, yellow, white, blue, and I'm going a little too fast, but these are the colors. I'm sorry, I couldn't keep up. I kind of went on a mini vacation there. But you also get confetti. You get 6 of the colored confetti pieces here too. Perfect for filling your candy jars. Okay, so this is everything in the Candyland kit, and today I'm going to be making 5 cards with it, so we will jump in and get started. Now for my first card, we're going to use the little candy die, and we're going to cut out 3 different colored of candy wrappers, purple, pink, and blue. Once they're die cut out, I also cut out a panel. The panel size is 3 inches by 5.5, and then I brought in from my stash. The black and white stripe paper is not included in the kit, but I always associate candy shops with the black and white stripes. So I just brought some pattern paper in from my stash. I just cut them down into thin strips and added them to the left and right of my panel. After I added my black and white stripes, we'll go ahead and add our little candies. I'm going to use my tape runner to adhere the center of the candy down first. Using the wrapper as a guide, I'll place it back in its home, and this way I can position where each one of my candies are going to go. I'm going to layer them 3 in a row. We'll just place our centerpiece in there. Okay, after we have this done, we'll grab our foam. We just punch out the center. I remove the paper release off of the back. There's release paper on the top and the back. The top has clear plastic, and then the back has paper. I always remember that paper goes on paper and then plastic goes on plastic. So once my foam elements are added, now we get to fill it with our little toppings. Oh, I brought in some baker's twine. I have tons of baker's twine, and so I found some colors that coordinated with the pattern paper here. So I'm just going to take my baker's twine and add little bows around the end of my little candy wrappers. I'm going to do that to all three of them, just to add a little extra something. Now, if you wanted to cheat and just tie a bow and then glue it down with a glue dot, you could do that too. Okay, now we're going to add our toppings. For the purple, I'm just going to add the purple. These are the pops. And then pink, I'm going to add the pink. And then the teal color pen paper, I'm going to use the green toppings. Queen & Co. shaker cards are so easy to make because everything is done for you, in case you're new. But after your toppings are added, all you do is remove the plastic release paper off the top, and then you add your acetate right over it. Everything's pre-measured for you. We'll do that to our pink, and then last but not least, we'll do that to our purple. And I kind of filled them up pretty full. There's about 3/4 of the way filled. Okay, now we're going to stamp our sentiment. There's a sentiment that says, "Hey, sweetie." I'm going to ink it up with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This ink is great for sentiments. It gives a nice, crisp, stark sentiment here. Okay, before we add our wrappers, I adhered my panel to an A2 size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And then I had the little center pieces that were left over from my foam shaker, so I'm going to cut them in half. And I thought these would be perfect to add to the end of my my candy wrappers, just to give it a little bit more stability. I'm going to do that to all three of them. After we have the wrappers with foam adhered, I'm going to use my glue and go around each one of my shakers, and then we can just go ahead and add our candy wrappers. I mean, this was a pretty simple and easy card, and I think the outcome was super cute. Then we'll just add our last one. We'll just adjust our little bows. And that finishes off my first project. I love the bright colors. Here's some close-ups. Okay, now for card number 2. We're going to grab some pattern papers. We're going to use this diagonal stripe paper, and then I'm going to use the yellow here, and then we're also going to pull in some pink. Now with the yellow and pink pattern paper, we're going to create some suckers. So I'll grab my sucker die here, and I'm going to cut out both of those. And then for my diagonal stripe paper, I'm going to create a frame using some stitched rectangle dies that I have in my stash. Once all my elements are cut out, I did use my sucker die or my lollipop die, and I cut out just the stick part of it with some craft cardstock. I'm just going to adhere that directly on my pattern paper. I wanted my suckers to have a natural toned stick. Okay, we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment. We're going to use the sentiment that says, "I hope your birthday is sweet." I did cut out a fishtail banner, just using one of my banner dies that I had in my stash. We'll just stamp our sentiment in the center. Okay, we're going to take our frame, add some glue behind it, and then this is going to go directly on our card base. We're going to make a landscape style card here. Okay. Now we're kind of going to arrange our suckers. I want them to be crisscrossed, and so I'm just figuring out my placement. Once I'm happy with that, I thought we would add our little swirls before we added our shaker circle, and I thought it'd be fun to flip-flop the colors. So we're going to adhere the yellow to the pink sucker, and then the pink to the yellow sucker. And I'm using, I haven't adhered my suckers down yet. I'm just using it as a guide where to place my little swirly on the inside. And then we can go ahead and add our foam. Lovely. We'll do the same thing to our yellow popsicle here. Just kind of matching up my alignment, and then we'll remove our sucker part, and then we'll add our foam shaker shape here. And there's 12 shaker shapes in this kit, and there are refills available, and I'll link them down below too in case you're interested. Okay, now for toppings, we're going to use the white pops. I'm going to add the entire bag. We're going to split it between both of the lollipops here. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the yellow, and I'm going to add the yellow to my pink lollipop, and then I will add some pink to my yellow. There we go. And I had some stragglers. We've got to pick those up. Okay, now we just remove the plastic release paper and add our acetate. I'll do that to both of them. Lovely. Okay, next we're going to add some glue behind the top portion of our lollipop, and I did add some thin strips of foam that were from leftovers from another project that I had made. I always keep my leftover foam because I like the width of it. But I just added my lollipops to my card, and then I'm going to use some more leftover foam that I've had in my stash, and I'm going to add that, placing it between each of one of my popsicle sticks. This way when I add my sentiment panel, everything's nice and even. I did bring in some sparkle string, and I'm not sure if the sparkle string is still available, but I tied little bows to my lollipop. But that's card number 2. Okay, card number 3. I think this little candy jar is just too sweet. I'm going to die cut out this candy jar, and then I'm going to die cut out a couple of white scallop borders. This is a die that I've had in my stash. And while we're doing the die cutting, I thought we'd stamp our sentiment. So for this card, I chose the smaller one that says, "You make life sweeter." I'm going to die cut out my sentiment with this little, it has a little scallop, it's a scallop oval that will fit perfectly inside my little candy jar. Okay, I thought we would stamp our little candies on the inside. By the time I added my toppings, you guys could probably skip this step because it kind of my toppings kind of covered up my stamped image. But I stamped my candies, and then I just colored them in with my Copic markers, just different shades of pinks and purples. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and build our card. For this card, I'm going to use some of the gingham almost pink pattern paper. I'm going to adhere this to a panel that's 4 inches by 5 1/4. We're going to place this right down the middle, leaving a little bit, maybe a 1/2 inch white area on the left and the right. And then again, I brought in some more of my black and white stripe paper. I'm going to adhere that to my white scallop edge here. We're going to add a scallop edge to the left and the right. We'll go ahead and adhere that to our panel, kind of offsetting it a little bit. Okay, we're going to go ahead and adhere this while it's flat to our card base, which is, again, actually all 5 card bases today, guys, are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. Okay, kind of place our little candy jar where we want it, and then we'll adhere the inside piece using my tape runner. Lovely. Okay, we'll grab our foam front here. We'll remove the release paper. We'll go ahead and add that around our stamped image. And then for toppings, I added my purple confetti, and then we're going to add some pink confetti. And you can see where it kind of drowned out my stamped image. But no worries, I think it still looked pretty. We'll add our acetate cover. Okay, now I wanted to share with you, I had that leftover inside piece to my candy jar, and The leftover pieces die cut beautifully, guys. So I'm going to grab the dies. I'm going to use the lid and then also the bottom portion of my my candy jar here. I'm just going to place that with some purple tape on my extra piece of foam, run that through my die cut machine, and it die cuts beautifully. Sometimes the plastic doesn't release, but the foam does cut, and it's super neat how easy it cuts through, especially with it being on the thicker side. Like this one, the plastic didn't release, but that's okay. I'm going to add the bottom of my candy jar and then add some glue to my shaker, and then we can place the entire candy jar over the top. This just gives it a little more stability. Next, we'll remove the release paper off of the lid of our candy jar foam. Add that to the top. I think this is such a pretty candy jar. Love that. And then we'll add the top piece. And you don't even need any glue because you already have adhesive on your foam. Okay, we're going to go ahead and glue down our sentiment in the middle of our candy jar. Lovely. Now, I am going to use a little bit more of my sparkle string. I'm going to add that to the top of my jar lid. And then for bells and whistles, we're going to add a few of the little bubbles. These are the clear ones. Kind of have an iridescent hue to them. But I just added a few here and there, and that finishes off that card. Super cute. Okay, for my next card, I already die cut out the larger candy jars, and I used some gray cardstock from my stash. I cut out a thin strip of my black and white stripe paper, and again my little scalloped border with white cardstock, and then I'm also cut out about a 1-inch strip of the green pattern paper. We're going to stamp 2 of our sentiments. These ones say "Love is sweet." And I just stamped them with black ink. Now I'm going to take the outline, like a frame that matches my little die there, and I'm using a green ink that kind of coordinates with my pattern, my green pattern paper there. I'm just going to stamp the outline around my sentiment, and then I'll take the coordinating die and cut out my little sentiment panel. Everything matches perfectly. Okay, now we're going to build our card. I'm going to take another panel that's 4 inches by 5 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my green pattern paper to the very bottom. We'll just trim off the excess, and then I'm going to use my glue, and I'm going to add my striped pattern paper to my little white scallop. I thought this would be fun to create like a little candy, like a valance or a awning for my card. So we're going to add some foam tape behind the very top portion here and add that to the very top of our panel. Okay, I thought we need a little color for our background, so I'm using some Distress Oxide ink. This is Twisted Citron. And I'm going to add a little bit of shading. I didn't use Bristol Smooth cardstock, so it wasn't blending as well as I wanted, but no worries because my candy jars were going to cover most of it. Now for my first candy jar, we're going to adhere directly to our panel. I just used my tape runner, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my little sentiment. And then for my second candy jar, we're going to actually fill this one up with some toppings. So we're going to add the inside piece first, and then we'll go ahead and add our shaker shape. For the toppings, I chose some of the confetti. We're going to use some pinks and white and some green. We'll just fill that up and create our little shaker. Okay, now we'll just remove the clear release paper and then add our acetate right over the top. And then we'll add a little bit of glue around our shaker shape. Then we can just add the base of our candy jar. We'll add our sentiment and then the lid too. I did pop up with some foam tape. Now I already adhered my panel to my card base. And I thought we'd add just a little, bring some of that black and white from the top down. So this is some black and white baker's twine. I have tons of baker's twine for my stash. So I thought we'd add a small little bow towards the bottom here. And we'll just trim off the excess. And then for bells and whistles, we're going to bring in some more of the clear bubbles here. We'll add a few, and that finishes off card number 4. Love the little candy jars. They're just too cute. Here's some close-ups. Okay, now for my final project today, I'm going to take a piece of white cardstock, and sorry about my head. I'm going to use this die from my stash to create a panel, and then with that leftover piece we're going to stamp the cotton candy stick. I'm just going to keep it black and white, so I'm using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and then I went ahead and fussy cut that out. Next I'm going to adhere some purple pattern paper to a panel that's 4 inches by 5 1/4. We're also going to adhere this pink, but I'm actually going to pull up my purple pattern paper. My placement just wasn't right, so we'll readjust this. Then we'll add our pink pattern paper, and then again I brought in some of my black and white stripe paper from my own stash here. Any excess overhanging we're going to trim off. Lovely. We're going to go ahead and grab our little I thought it'd be fun to create a pink and purple cotton candy swirl. So first time doing it, it didn't turn out the greatest, but I think it turned out cute enough to keep on the card. I'm just going to take a couple thin strips of the cotton, and then I'll layer them together, and then I'm just using one of my water brushes and swirling the cotton around it, and then kind of twisting and turning it to create my little cotton candy topper here. And I think this worked out okay. I think if I were to play with it a little bit more, we could master it. Okay, we're going to add our little cotton candy to our little stick, just using some glue. And then now we'll go ahead and adhere our panel. No, I'm going to add some extra foam adhesive on the base of my cotton candy here. And then we're going to add our panel. And to glue down our cotton candy top, I would suggest either using your glue or multimedia matte. I used some extra large glue dots, and I actually tried adding the glue dots to the cotton candy, and that's not a good idea at all because the little fibers in the cotton candy kept lifting it up and I couldn't get it to stick. So I just used my glue dot on my background panel, but if you do want to use glue, I think it would work great too. Okay, for my sentiment, I chose the sentiment that says treat yourself, and I just stamped it with black ink, added a few purple and pink bubbles, and that finishes off my final project for today, guys. And you know, it's a little bulky, but you know what, when you put it in your card, just add a piece of cardstock on top and it will flatten, I think, just fine for mailing. So here's all 5 cards that I made today with the Candyland kit from Queen & Co. I think these are super fun and great cards to have on hand just because cards. So I hope you like my projects, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. I wish you a fantastic day, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.